Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the literal architecture of business. Have you ever wondered how companies evolved from running like rigid, repetitive machines into the flexible, living networks we see today? Well, we're going to take a close look at the actual blueprints that make modern companies function. Here's our mental map for today's journey. 1. The purpose of organizing. 2. The evolution of management theory. 3. The power of specialization. 4. Blueprinting the structure. And 5. Authority and coordination. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the purpose of organizing. So organizing really isn't just about handing out fancy job titles or figuring out who sits at which desk. It's the active, deliberate design of a structure. It's all about taking your money, your technology, and your human talent and coordinating the whole shebang so a theoretical business plan actually becomes a functioning reality. To really grasp the foundations of this, we've got to look back to Max Weber's 1947 bureaucratic theory. To avoid total chaos, he argued you absolutely need 4 things: clearly defined roles, established reporting lines, strategic resource allocation, and a definitive hierarchy of authority. It's basically the ultimate playbook for maintaining order. Which brings us to Section 2, the evolution of management theory. Management thinking has experienced a massive, completely transformative shift over just a single century. In the early 1900s, guys like Fayol and Weber treated companies literally like efficient machines. But by the 1930s, thinkers like Elton Mayo started to recognize the human, social element of work. And that eventually evolved into viewing organizations as complex systems, leading us right up to today's borderless virtual networks. Now, there is a super sharp contrast between classical theory and modern contingency theory. The classical theorists, they believed in a strict one-size-fits-all hierarchy. But modern contingency theory completely flips the script. It argues there's no single right way to organize. The most effective structure actually depends entirely on a company's internal capabilities and its external environment. It's all about adaptability. And then postmodern thinkers like Michel Foucault and Jacques Derrida pushed this even further. They challenged those traditional power structures entirely. They urged organizations to stop treating workers like cogs in a machine, to tear down those rigid hierarchies, and to actively embrace inclusivity and diverse internal narratives. A real paradigm shift, right? Moving on to Section 3, the power of specialization. Specialization is a really fascinating double-edged sword. On one hand, having a worker focus on one highly specific task makes them a fast, error-free expert. Sounds great, doesn't it? But the flip side is that highly repetitive tasks can completely crush morale and lead to burnout and absenteeism. And if that one hyper-specialized worker leaves, replacing and retraining them is a massive, incredibly expensive headache. Next up, Section 4, blueprinting the structure. Okay, the most foundational blueprint you're going to encounter is functional departmentalisation. With the managing director at the top, the organization is divided purely by core business functions. Think of marketing, finance, production, human resources. It's clean, it's logical, and it puts specialists right next to other specialists in their exact field. But as a company diversifies, that functional setup can quickly become a bottleneck. Enter product departmentalisation. Now, the managing director oversees entirely separate managers for things like consumer products and industrial products. Each product line operates almost like its own mini-company, complete with its own dedicated marketing, finance, and production teams. Alternatively, if geography is what drives the market, a business might organize by location. This means separating divisions by regions, like the Western Cape versus Gauteng. This is a fantastic way to tailor strategies to local markets and react to regional shifts immediately without having to wait around for a green light from some distant headquarters. Or a company can build its entire structure purely around the client. Under customer departmentalization, you might separate commercial TV equipment from highly sensitive clients like the Air Force. Why? Because this ensures that the wildly different compliance rules, security needs, and operational speeds of these two totally different customer bases are met flawlessly. And then we have the matrix structure, the most complex blueprint of the bunch. Here, traditional vertical functions like production and finance directly intersect with horizontal project managers who are running specific initiatives. It creates a highly flexible, resource-sharing web. The catch? Well, employees often end up reporting to 2 bosses at once, and that is a setup that requires spectacular communication to avoid total gridlock.
Finally, Section 5, Authority and Coordination.
To keep all these sprawling, complex structures from just totally falling apart, authority has to flow clearly. Solid vertical lines represent direct line authority. That's the formal chain of command flowing downward. But the horizontal lines, branching off, those represent staff authority. So a legal advisor might not manage the marketing team, but they provide specialized, absolutely critical counsel to those line managers. Ultimately, all of this structure relies on one vital concept: coordination. It's the synthesis of separate parts into a unity. Without management actively coordinating and developing harmony, individual departments will just become isolated silos, completely losing sight of the organization's primary goals. As we wrap up this explainer and accelerate headfirst into an era of remote work and borderless digital organizations, we really have to ask ourselves a hard question. Are the mechanical, rigid structures we relied on yesterday adaptable enough to ensure our survival tomorrow? Take a look around your own workplace. Is it genuinely designed for the future? Thanks so much for exploring the architecture of business with me today.